So the other day in my winter update number 1, I talked about how I had acquired this FAMCO press at a local auction and paid $25 for it. What it needs now is a little TLC. So what I'd like to do is we're going to disassemble this. I think I'm going to run the body through the sandblaster, and we can get it primed, painted, and breathe a little new life into it, get it all cleaned up. First things first here, though, I'd like to disassemble it. So let's move it over here, and I'll adjust the camera a little bit so you can see a little better. And we'll start taking it apart. I have not taken one of these apart before. I have a cardboard box here for all the small stuff that we take off. So there's a plate there that serves as the gib and is adjusted by these small screws, set screws on the front. Same thing here for these. If you can see that on the screen, there's two more over here on the side. So there's the smaller plate goes on the side, and then we just have the shaft, which looks, you can tell this end has got some marks and stuff on it, so that's obviously the end that was being used as the bottom, but not too much taking that out. And we've got one set screw here, it looks like, to hold this collar on. And let's see, just pull the shaft out. Feels like it comes out, but maybe it's kind of crowded up in there, maybe. Let's see. Take the platen off. Don't see anything else that looks like it's any kind of set screw or grub screw. That would be holding that in there. Squishing my fingers. So, I think it needs to be tapped out. Let me grab my plastic mallet, give it a few test taps. I'm thinking the crud on the end of this shaft is helping hold that on there. Let me grab some emery cloth, I'll clean that up a little bit. Got some emery cloth. See a little better. there. There's a few, you probably can't see them, but there's a few marks from that set screw that was on there. And I don't know if it's come loose over time. People really tighten it down, but it feels like there's a little possibly a little lip there. Let's see. Yeah, right when you get over that one set right there, that's where it seems to hang up the most. Just there we go. Now it seems to be working its way through. Okay, and there we have the shaft. A bit of rusty crud and stuff back in there. I think what I like to do is wipe the whole thing down with some solvent. I've got some acetone here, and then tape off. Try to clean these up best I can. Maybe get a little piece of Scotch-Brite, and then tape off, the machined areas and stuff that I don't want sandblasted. These Gibbs screws, I think I'm just going to leave and let them get cleaned up a little bit in the sandblaster, and then I can pull them out and probably wire brush them with the rest of them that were in there. But looks like we're ready to to move over to the sandblaster. So let me see if I can get this thing over there and get it in there, and we'll start in on it. Okay, same sandblaster I talked about in an earlier video. It's a 24-inch Kelco, and you can see that it fits in there pretty well. If you don't have one of these cabinets in your shop, very, very handy item, especially if you have a professional grade one. I had a Harbor Freight one before, and it leaked sand everywhere. It was kind of a pain. This is a tight unit. It's got built-in dust collection, which is that blower you hear running, and overall just a great cabinet. So I'm going to sandblast for a little bit here, and then I'll probably just go ahead and finish on my own. I know it's not too exciting video, so but let's do a little bit here. Okay, so we're back from sandblasting, and I'm not sure how well you can see this, but they left these casting holes, which are for boat holes, pretty rough. So that's an original. And let me move you over to the other side here. And this one over here, I've already given it a little tune-up with a rat tail round file. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other one. And then there's our masking tape. There's a little bit of casualties on our masking tape, so I'll touch that up, and then give the whole thing a good wipe down with some solvent. And I'm also going to be masking off the other areas that I don't want painted, like where the platen goes. Do masking, wipe it down with solvent, and then we can start priming it. Okay, it's time to shoot a little paint. Normally I would move this table back by those back doors, but I'm still waiting for the paint to harden on our backhoe repair there from the Backhoe Woes series. So I have to do it here in the middle of the shop. I'm just going to deal with the overspray. I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer, which says it dries to the touch in about 15 minutes, and then you can top coat it. And then I'm going to use this the Rust-Oleum Professional High Performance Enamel, which basically has the same instructions. It says it dries to the touch in 15 minutes. Then either top coat it within an hour or wait 48 hours. What I want to do is just prime the bottom and then paint the bottom gray, because it really only needs one coat of each. It's up underneath, just enough to protect it. And that way, after it all dries, I can stand it up and paint the rest of it and give it multiple coats and give it a nice glossy finish. So let's get started with the primer. Continuing on with our Arbor Press project, I want to clean up the end of the main shaft where the handle goes, and then this has the teeth which run the main pressing shaft up and down. So I'm going to chuck this up in the lathe, get you guys in closer. We'll just hit it with some emery cloth and try and clean the whole thing up. cleaned up all the tops of that. I think that's pretty good. The rest of it I'm probably just gonna use some solvent and clean all that old grease and stuff out of it, and I think it'll be good. This other end is the bearing surface on the other side of the press, and then the collar goes on it, so I don't believe I need to do much to that, if anything, since it's really not visible. Okay, we're to the point where we can start assembling the Arbor press. I've got the body, had it all sandblasted down in my sandblaster, primed, painted, ready to go. And I've been calling this the platen. I guess technically it's actually the bolster. That's all cleaned up and ready to go. I showed the video of me cleaning up the drive shaft here, and then I also did some wire wheel work on the bench grinder, and I actually found the wire wheel in my Dremel tool was the best for getting down in here and getting all the old grease and stuff off of the teeth there, and the same goes for the actual ram itself. Get in there with the Dremel tool and clean up all that old gunk and weasel snot, as Tom Lipton would say, down in there. However, so we're ready to assemble, but I would like to make a modification, and it's kind of inspired by Chuck over on Outside Screwball. And what I would like to do is I have this 3/4 inch ratchet, and I would like to modify this to take this ratchet and use it as the handle, and that way your handle is always, you know, in the correct position when you go to apply pressure. So in order to do that, I picked up this this chunk of 2.5 inch round, and I picked some of it for stock, you know, just to have on hand. Also give me plenty if I screw this up a couple times. But make a cap, if you will, or a socket that will slide over this. It will still pin using the original 5/8 pin, or a similar 5/8 pin, I should say. And then in the end, we'll make a square adapter hole to take the ratchet. So I think I really only need about a 3-inch piece. So I'm going to cut a chunk of this off in the bandsaw, and then we'll take it over to the lathe. We'll face it off, and we'll start boring. So join me over at the lathe. Got it set up in the lathe 4-jaw, and got it dialed in within a little under 1/1000. So I'm going to face this end off, and then give it a nice big chamfer here, and then we'll flip it around and do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll start drilling and boring it to fit on the shaft on the press. Lead screw in gear here. Like we just have one little spot of saw cut right there, so come back in for another pass. All right. Not a bad finish. So now I want to cut the chamfer on here, so let me get everything repositioned. I'll reposition the camera and we'll start cutting that. Alright, let's cut our chamfer. I think think I'm going to take the file to that. Let me move the camera back and do a little file work on that. Just trying to blend the corners a little bit there. Use a little emery. Still some grooves in it, but it polished it up pretty good. I think it's good enough for an arbor press. Alright, I'll get it flipped around. We'll face off the other side and then we'll start drilling and boring. Alright, I got you guys situated on my tailstock here. We're going to center drill this, and then since the far side of this is the side that's going to have the square 3/4 inch hole for the ratchet, these first few drills I'm going to drill all the way through, and that'll give us to establish our hole and everything on the back side, that then we'll just come back later and square it out in the mill with an end mill. So after those first few drills, then I'll have to pay a little more attention, and I'll set up a depth stop here on my lathe or something, somehow figure out where I need to stop every time with the drill bits. But first let's do the center drill. I'm initially going to try and go through here all the way with a 3/8. And then I'll work it up from there. I'm going to be using a little tap magic here to help things out. Nine sixteenths. This is 11/16, which would be the largest that I want to go all the way through with because of our 3/4 inch hole on the back. After this, we'll have to stop at a certain depth. I've been wanting to try some of these taper shank drills that I have. I've got a pretty big collection of them, but they're all kind of you know, around say 3/4, a little under 3/4 to up to an inch. And some of them are not in very good shape. I've got a lot of duplicates. This one's a 27/32. I'm going to see if it'll, you know, if my lathe has what it takes to run it down through that hole, or if I'm going to have to go to a more intermediate size first, maybe out of my Silver and Deming set, because I don't have anything smaller than this in a taper shank drill. And I decided I don't want to go any further than about 2 1/8 here, and then we'll see how it goes. The square part on the ratchet that's going to go on this other end sticks out about 3/4 of an inch. So I just want to play a little safe, and then when I bore it out with a boring bar, I can work it down kind of to the final depth. For now, we're just trying to hog out some material. So I'm going to give it a try.